my fellow human beings, and welcome to episode 154 of The Best Blessed Life. I'm your best host, Kristen, and today's topic is Baja. Talk about Mexican food, ya chicken, enchilada, apple cobbler. Before we get started, I want to thank you all for watching. Please continue to watch, comment, share, like, subscribe. Ring that bell, and please pass them on anyone you think they would help. With that being said, here's our list of things to do today. Once again, I'm going to forego reading the daily mantras. I just want to talk about the fact that they are posted on my stories. Typically, the stories I post them on are just on Instagram and Facebook. And every once in a while, if I remember to put them on TikTok. So make sure you're following me on Facebook at Kristen Haas, KristinHass, and on Instagram at The Best Blessed Life. So one of those two, you'll be able to see them. They're pretty motivational. I like to come up with things that I say to myself to get myself motivated to do stuff like this. When I'm feeling like it's snowing outside, that's right, I said snowing. So it's cold, it's wet, wind is blowing, the leaves are mixing with the snow. It's just ugly out there, guys. So I thought maybe a nice little Mexican fiesta would cheer us all up. So with that being said about the mantras, we are going to talk about self-talk and what that means to you and what it means to me. And we're going to make chicken tacos. And I know we've made chicken tacos previously in the crock pot. I do believe a little while back. But I'm trying a different recipe, so there you go. And then we're making apple enchiladas. So it is quite the Mexican fiesta. Actually, apple cobbler enchiladas. So that was and a lot of apple enchiladas. I mean, apple cobbler. I don't know if you got that, but anywho. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the chicken. And what I did a little bit different, and I didn't realize my crock pot was on for a good, 10 minutes. So when I bring it over here, I want to set it on something. And it might be a little toasty, so I'm going to grab my new oven mitts and bring it on over. So this recipe called for 2 pounds of chicken breast, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, a half cup of mild salsa, 2 to 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. That's right, I said brown sugar. 1 can of mild green chilies, 1 can of tomatoes, the diced tomatoes drained, and she wanted fire roasted, so I did happen to have those. 1 tablespoon of chili powder, which I know does seem like a lot, and I'm going to explain why it might be a lot for this particular dish. 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of each cumin, garlic, and onion powder, a half teaspoon each of paprika, oregano, and pepper, and optional to use a chipotle pepper, and also liquid smoke, and also hot sauce. I'm not using those 3 ingredients. And I am adding chicken broth and rice. Now, what I have that I'm using for this recipe, I got from Aldi, and I might have even used this the last time we made the chicken tacos. I'm not really sure. But it comes like this. I don't know if you can see the bag. It's Baja Citrus Chipotle Chicken Breast. And it says breast like it's 1, but it's actually quite a few pieces of chicken breast. And you get 2.5 pounds. I got 2.25 pounds. So I'm a little bit over on that. But before I put my chicken in, I actually put the rice and the chicken broth on the bottom. So that is going to protect my chicken from sitting directly on the heat, because I'm really trying to master this crock pot thing. And I'm tired of my chicken being dry. Who wants dry chicken tacos? So I'm going to show you what my little bed here looks like, if you can see it. I did incorporate the liquid from the salsa and the canned tomatoes, even though she said to drain them. There was also a sauce that the chicken was in, so that is also incorporated in here. Okay, So it's got all kinds of liquid, which probably won't cook down. And she says, as far as that goes, you can probably just pour it off, which is probably what I will do to the, to get rid of it for the rice as well. So here is our half a cup of, our half a cup of salsa, medium, mild. And she says you can use other, heat levels here. You don't have to use mild. And your, these are our fire roasted tomatoes. Okay, and then the seasoning. I want to be careful because my meat is already seasoned. So what I'm going to do might be different than you actually following the recipe to a T, okay? I am going to put in the whole can of green chilies because, we're also seasoning our rice here, which is helpful when we're talking about adding additional seasoning, So we're basically just supposed to dump this all together. Okay. If you could get it to come off. It's almost the same as if you use like a rotel. You get the fire roasted with, so it's up to you whether you want to use, Now this is the paprika mixture. And I do love a good amount of paprika. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to get carried away with the seasonings, but I do want to get our rice kind of seasoned. So I am kind of putting it more on the rice than I am on the actual chicken itself. Same with the chili powder. And while it said, I don't know, some ridiculous amount, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, I am just doing a slight sprinkling again. I maybe used half of it. Same with the old paprika mixture. And then here is it's 2 to 3 tablespoons, and I believe she gave me 2. I'm not sure. Peyton measures these out for me, so sometimes I think she said. And it depends on the heat level that you're using. If you're adding the chipotle pepper and the, what's the other 2 things? The hot sauce and the liquid smoke. If you're adding those kinds of things, you might want to think about adding an additional brown sugar. I'm using probably, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about the whole brown sugar thing, to be honest. But, sometimes you just got to lean into it. It's kind of fun that both my recipes today will have brown sugar in it. All right, so I'm setting these seasonings off to the side. If I find later as I'm cooking it that I decide it just doesn't have the amount of seasonings that I want in it, then I will adjust accordingly. But like I said, a lot of this is just for the rice. And so I'm hoping a good, And I'm dealing with like I said, I'm dealing with a little bit of sauce that I wasn't dealing with if you just used regular chicken breast. Okay, now it says to cook this. So I'm sorry, if you were using those original ingredients and your chicken wasn't pre-seasoned, you'd be rubbing the chicken with the olive oil and placing on the bottom of the crock pot, mixing all the ingredients except for the hot sauce, because you don't want to cook it in hot sauce. That would be kind of whew. And then cook on high for 2 to 4 and on low for 6 to 7. You know me in crock pots. Now, I think I'm going to go low for 2 to 4. And it should shred up just fine, especially with the amount of liquid that I have in here. I think it's going to work out really perfectly. So that's it. We're all done with preparing that. I'm just going to show you. Let me put my spatula down a little bit. And honestly, like, you're not going to get to see the end result right away because obviously it's got to cook for a long time. And I'm not really going to start it right away either because I don't want it cooking for 2 to 4 hours and being done at, I don't know, whatever that time is from now. I can't even do the math. But here it is in all of its glory. I think it's going to be amazing. And then obviously you would just serve it on tortillas, flour, corn, whichever you prefer. And then obviously we're going to have the rice to go with. And then whatever accoutrement you like to put on the top. I'm a cilantro and onion kind of gal. But we're going to get started on our apple enchiladas. Now, this recipe actually is going to be called peach cobbler enchiladas, but I have frozen peaches, but I had fresh apples, and I thought that was more of a fall thing. So I kind of went with that. I don't know why I put my little trivet away, because I'm going to need that. Now, bear with me on this one because I'm going to do some, extra stuff. I feel like our chicken is pretty healthy. We're not doing anything, overly crazy on that. We're going to have a lot of veggies that we're going to eat with it between the lettuce and all that other stuff. Let me wash off my spatula here. So I thought I could get a little crazy with the dessert. And I'm going to get going on this whole self-talk thing in a minute. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about last week's disaster. I posted that, all good things, we got to share the good, the bad, and the ugly was my thing, because that was part of why I started my channel. It's like, if you want to think about your best blessed life, we're talking about whatever happens, and we appreciate, the good because of the bad that happens in the world, So we're basically spreading a layer of sweetened condensed milk on the bottom of our pan. And I have a 13 by 9, but this, I'm not sure it was a man or a woman that made it, but they did not mention the size of their pan, and I don't remember if there's a video attached. I will be sharing all of the recipes, including how I made this delicious apple pie filling from fresh cosmic apples. And then these are our flour tortillas. So what I thought I would do to make it a little bit different, and then also extra yummy, was, whoa, there goes my spatula. Where am I going to put you? This is starting to cool. So there's a couple of things I want to do. First, I want to kind of dip my, don't ask me what I'm doing here, I have no clue. I want to kind of dip my outer tortilla in a cinnamon sugar. So I thought maybe if I took my, my sweetened condensed and just used my silicone brush here, if I can find it. Eek! All right, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Okay. There she is. Don't judge. She's clean. She's actually wet. Okay. So what I want to do is, because what's going to happen with the rest of the sweetened condensed is it is going to be ending up getting poured over the top. So I thought if I just dipped my brush in it and did a little brushy brush onto the tortillas on the outside, and then did, which is going to make it kind of hard because I know it's going to cause the tortilla to kind of stick. But what I am doing is I took a paper plate, right? I just brushed that with the sweetened condensed milk. And then what I'm going to do is, I always have cinnamon sugar ready to go. So, if this works out, I simply want to put my tortilla in there like that. And then take my filling. I forgot to grab a spoon. A spoon. All right. And then I'm going to take my spoon, first stir up my deliciousness. And I'm going to share the recipe for this too. They all come from Pinterest. Oh, I forgot the other part. I forgot the other delicious part. So I had this tub of pre-made Philadelphia cream cheese no-bake cheesecake. So what I thought I would do, I know it's getting really bad up in here, isn't it? Would take a little scoop like this, maybe 2, right? Bear with me here. And then spread that on my tortilla, excuse me. Okay, just not, I mean, I don't even know if it needs to be all over. I haven't worked out the details yet, okay? But maybe we will. We'll just do a thin layer. And then we take our filling, plop it down the middle, right? Because we're making enchiladas. And I'm trying not to use too much on one, right? And then, I know I'm going to get cinnamon sugar under my fingernails, but I guess I should have put it more towards the end, huh? Hey, live and learn. Okay, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to roll it up and roll it and roll it and roll it. And I probably should have heated them up because maybe they would roll a little better that way. Okay, ta-da. Okay. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. The nice thing about the filling is there's still a little bit of crunch. And let me nuke my tortillas here. Oh my gosh, I'm stuck in a rut. Let me just nuke them for about 10 seconds, just so they're not cold. And then I'll show you one more, and then I'm gonna put you on pause so I can finish them all up real quick, and then I can show you how we make the streusel and everything. Not that we haven't made streusel on this channel about, I don't know, 72 times, but let's face it, streusel makes everything better, don't you know? All right, so we're spreading the sweetened condensed, right? Okay, and I want it super thin. I really don't want to waste a lot of it on the outside of the tortilla. I just want it to have a little bit of fun. And then I did 2 of these. Okay. And you can omit the cheesecake. It was just, it was something I had on hand that I wanted to use up before it goes bad, right? And then I'm going to put the scoops on the end now, so I know how to do this. You'd think I'd know better because I make chicken enchiladas pretty much all the time. Well, I haven't in a while. Don't make me, I don't want to be a liar here. I haven't made them in quite a while. Okay, so I think I made those scoops a little bit bigger. So I would only do 2. And then here we go. We roll it up. Even, come on, heating them up didn't really help a lot. Okay. Perfect. There we go. And then I'm going to keep rolling. Hey guys, I'm back. Yes, I'm still making them. But you know what I was thinking? I'm like, why don't we talk about self-talk right now while I'm making these? And then we can, put them in the oven together. Or at least get to the part where I need to make the streusel, and then we can put them in the oven together. But to me, self-talk is something I like to do on walks. I'll pretend I'll be talking to the kids I'm babysitting or my puppy or whatever. But in all actuality, you didn't see that. I'm really talking to myself out loud. This is going to be so ridiculous. Don't judge me. And that does quite a few things. It solidifies for me, a lot of times I put negative thoughts in my head, and it really takes a good portion of my psyche to go, that is not you. That is not you talking. That is not the way you think. You're overdoing things so that you can, I don't know, portray yourself in a bad light or whatever it is that you're thinking about yourself that is negative. And this is why I started the mantras too. It's a way to self-talk positivity into your morning, you know, and make yourself a little bit less, I don't know, susceptible to the negativity out there. And I feel like that does a lot for my everyday agenda. You know, what I need to get done in order to feel, you know, like I've participated, like life is not, like I'm not sitting there watching it just, you know, I don't want to be cliche because, but get in there. But it's true. Like, I feel like if we all just sat down and really talked about what it is that we think our brain is trying to tell us, and we're missing the mark for whatever reason, because we know deep down in our hearts that whatever it is our brain is telling us is not always the truth. Let's be fair. Our brain is a liar. A lot of times, I'm telling you. There's so many things that we can accomplish by not taking on that negativity. It's not conducive to learning. It's not conducive to participating. It's not conducive to treating yourself well. You know, so there's so many things about self-talk that is part of self-care. And that is why I still have self-care up there, because we're just going to go through the whole gamut of what self-care actually means in the next couple episodes. So like this one will be self-care, self-love, self-talk, you know, whatever it may be. And everyone is different and everyone appreciates things differently. So don't think that because you don't know how to do it or what to do or how to speak to yourself doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You know, start with the mantras. Maybe that is a good way to start, with telling yourself the important things. You know, affirmations, sometimes people call them, become a morning, you know, ritual that will help, you know, make your day a little better. And so I wanted to get through that because I find that part of life so misunderstood, that if you're taking care of yourself, you're being selfish, or a lot of it has nothing to do with doing anything for yourself, making yourself stuff, buying yourself stuff. A lot of it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with just taking a bath or taking a walk or taking a nap. Oop, I almost forgot the cheesecake on that one. So don't believe that you have to go get a manicure, or you have to, you know, maybe it's making your favorite meal. Maybe that cooking is time for you to mellow yourself out and focus on something that brings you joy, because you know it's going to taste good, that kind of joy. Food, as I get that all over the counter. Food is love. And a lot of times when your mother asks you if you've eaten, it's her way of saying, I care about you. I want you to treat yourself well. I want you to feed yourself good things so your body runs right and you feel better. You know, and it might come across as you're not taking care of yourself, but I don't think that a mother has ever wanted her child to believe that that's what she was implying. She just likes to feed her babies. I don't know. I'm that way. And I like to do a healthy meal so I can give a crazy dessert every once in a while, or vice versa. I like to do a crazy meal, so maybe the dessert isn't quite so, you know, blatantly sugar and, you know, all things. And you know, I probably would have made cheesecake had I not already purchased this. And it's a nice, you know, shortcut while adding something, you know, a little creamy to this bit of dessert. All right, I think I accomplished a little bit of what I wanted to accomplish. I'm going to come back in a little bit, and we're going to put the streusel together. All right, my fellow human beings, I am back. I am done rolling. I had some cheesecake left over, so I plopped some along the tops of each one, kind of. And then I had some of the apple, like, syrup left, so I put that in there as well. And sadly, I got 11. I overdid the, I kind of overdid putting the filling into the, yeah, so I'm a little bummed by that, but it is what it is. It's going to be delicious anyway. So what we're supposed to do next is pour the remaining sweetened condensed over our enchiladas. Fun, right? It says more sweetened condensed milk on top. It does not say, however, that they mean the whole can, but I mean, why wouldn't you mean the whole can? Right? Okay, so I'm trying to get them. I don't know if they should be soggy covered. I don't know. I don't know, guys. So I'm just trying to make sure each one gets a good amount. Some of these bottom ones got quite a bit. Trying to get it to come out. I don't want them to get dried out is the thing. And so I've got to make sure that, like, the ends are covered pretty well. The other thing she doesn't talk about is whether they're covered while they're cooked. And like my enchiladas, when I cook them, like the chicken ones, I cook them at, I think it's like 375 degrees or even 350. And these are cooking at 400. So I'm a little concerned. Yeah, 400 for 15 minutes. So I don't want them to get dried out. So yeah, doesn't say anything about. It says sprinkle on enchiladas and bake. That's what she says about the streusel. Sprinkle it on and bake. Okay. I think I got most of it out of there. Okay, so in my bowl, I have my half a cup of butter, and I softened it. Didn't talk about that either. I didn't think I should put cold butter in there. Normally streusel, you kind of want to, do with your hands. And then it called for 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. The streusel called for 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. So I'm not doing that because I covered my tortillas with cinnamon and sugar as well. So I think like the majority of the cinnamon is already in the dish with the cinnamon apples and everything else. So I am probably going to just use like, I don't know. I'm going to do a couple shimmy shakes. And that's about it, guys. And then our cup of flour. And we're just supposed to kind of, I don't know, sometimes you use a fork. Sometimes I use a potato masher. Let me just grab a fork here real quick. I have all my utensils out. Never correct amount of utensils out first episode. So basically, like, we've made this a bazillion times. I'm going to end up probably using my hands as soon as I can get the butter in more of a pliable manner and coated with, like, everything. Not quite cinnamony enough for me. It smells too floury. So maybe I am using a tablespoon, but definitely not 2. And keep in mind, the cinnamon that I put on the tortillas was cinnamon sugar, not the cinnamon from Although I did use some of the cinnamon from the 2 tablespoons in the apples. So I feel in a sense I am kind of, you know, using it. All right, so let me see if I can manipulate this a little bit with my fingers. It's stuck to my fingers a little bit. That's the only thing I hate about doing crumbles, that it sticks to everything. Okay. See, I don't want the butter sticking to my hands because that's the part that's going to get this to crumble the way I need it to. Here's the crazy part. I think it needs more cinnamon. Maybe she was right. I just think 2 tablespoons is a lot. With that being said, maybe I softened my butter a little too much too. So that can't be all on. So basically, once I get like the flour incorporated into this butter better, we'll have like a pea-sized kind of thing going on. But I'm so worried that most of it, butter, is on my hands. And I don't want to lose it when I need it for. So I'm going back to the fork for a minute here. You know what I should use is my pastry cutter. But I think that ship has sailed. I like that she uses brown cinnamon or brown sugar in the streusel. I'm not sure I have done that in the past. I feel like I'm going to get a little bit more of a caramelized kind of streusel, which can't be all wrong, right? I'm debating about covering, you know, my streusel or my. I'll get it. I'm stirring streusel, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm debating about covering it, at least tenting my enchiladas so that they don't get. I don't want them to get dried out. I'm very aware of how quickly that can happen, especially in this hot of an oven. Granted, we're only cooking them for 15 minutes, but let me tell you, a lot can happen in 15 minutes. All right. As I have flicked brown sugar and stuff out of the bowl, I think we're there, guys. It's becoming more pliable. I don't want to equate it to kinetic sand or anything, but this is where we're at. Okay. So I want to show you real quick what it looks like on the big cam, okay? And then basically we're just trying to get this so it's not super big clumps. You know, you want to smush it, but not overly, you know, make it too small so it falls into all the little cracks and crevices, which I have a lot of. Yeah, but that's okay. It's okay. I know better for next time to maybe either use a smaller pan or use 2 cans of apple pie. I didn't use a can, but you can. You can use a can. Sorry. You know, so remember all these things for future reference. You can cut out the cheesecake and the, you know, dipping your tortillas in, or spreading them with the condensed milk and then dipping them in cinnamon sugar. But, you know, I have needed a win this year. So far has not been the greatest when it comes to my recipes. They've all kind of backfired a little bit. I'm going to say the brownies were better than I originally had talked them down to be. So that's, I guess, what I'm talking about, self-care too, and self-talk and all the other business. It's just as important to, realize that maybe you're doing something right instead of assuming you're doing something wrong, all the time. All right, I do have enough. I was worried I wasn't going to have a good amount to cover most of this stuff. Because, it is kind of fallen into the cracks over here where it's not like quite close enough together. And I'm sure you can shrink it down and make, a little less, or you can make it for a whole crowd. Double it. And then just watch how much you put into the actual tortilla, because that's probably one of my only, I would say, major boo-boos. Was that it was gonna, trying to get it piled up there really good. Okay. And do we think it's all pretty well covered? You'd think it would kind of stick to the condensed milk a little bit. All right. There she is in all her glory, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get my hands washed off here a little bit. Oh, something's burning on the bottom of my oven. I can smell it. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Is it causing smoke is the better question. Not really. All right, I am going to turn on the fan once I start cooking them, because I am going to put you on pause again. And because it only cooks 15 minutes, it shouldn't be, too crazy. And I will show you when they're done, and then I will post about everything. So again, make sure you're following me on Instagram at The Best Blessed Life and on Facebook at Kristen Haas, KristinHass. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm back. Okay. It's actually been a couple more minutes than I said originally. I don't know which way I'm supposed to wear these things. But I wanted to uncover it and allow it to brown up, which is what it did. It kind of bubbled up a little bit. I don't know. Let me show you on here. Let me show you on here. Yeah, baby. It's going to be so delicious. And then when it, cools. She also didn't talk too much. It was just, bake at 400 for 15 minutes. And that was, the end of the instructions. Unless I missed something somewhere. I don't know. I couldn't find. I scrolled and I scrolled and I didn't see anything else. Maybe if y'all try it. And this is one that calls for peaches originally, so remember that to begin with. But I'm going to let it cool. It's molten lava right now. And I love what's happening with all this condensed milk. It's turning into it's going to be like a nice, I don't want to say frosting, but like a gooey kind of caramely thing going on. Fingers crossed, guys. I really need this one. I really, really need this one. So keep your fingers and toes and legs and arms and everything crossed for me, okay? And with that being said, I'm going to start this puppy in a little bit. I'm going to cook it on low for probably 2 to 3 hours at most. And take it out and let it rest for 10 minutes, they say. That is one thing I have never done when I've taken meat out of a crock pot. I don't think I've ever let it redistribute its juices. And that's the main thing I would say is my problem with cooking meat in the crock pot. I do when I cook pot roast, I did let that set after I take it out of the crock pot. But fingers crossed everything goes well. This looks amazing. It smells amazing. I mean, everything, all components separately work great. So I can't imagine it coming together in a tortilla is going to make it bad. So, you know, this would be great with warmed up again when you want to eat it with a little bit of ice cream or maybe some whipped cream. And I think I'm going to let y'all go now. I mean, I think I've tortured you enough for one day, but you did get a dinner and a dessert out of it, so that literally took no time at all. It probably will take you less if you follow the exact recipe that I'm going to post with my video. So I appreciate y'all. You're wonderful. Please subscribe. Follow me on all my social medias. I'm on them all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm on the major ones. Anyway, thanks so much. And all I have left to say is I hope you have a good day. Go do great things. Be your best self. And please live your best blessed life.